Okay. Yeah. That's not gonna work. All right. Welcome. Let's get stuck into this combat that we need to do with Beyond the Rhine, an OCS system, and we're going to just walk through the first couple of combats, and then we'll pick up the pace a little bit as we go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those to do, and then we're going to take it from there. So let's get after it. Hey John, good to see you, man. I assume you can hear okay? That'd be awesome. I have to ignore the background noise because I've got my son playing the Xbox and clicking on his little toy controller over there. So here we go. Let's get started. Actually, I guess before we jump right into resolving the combats, probably should explain what we did for the turn, just so you kind of become familiar with this as we progress through, probably a fairly long series of videos. Hey Norman, good to see you, man. So, in the south section of France here, we've got a fairly spread out, Patton's army is fairly well spread out here. We've got 20th Corps here, 4th Armoured over here, and 12th Corps is kind of covering this area. And I've moved them onto the board, brought supply on, and supply is a little unusual in this game in the early part because it just arrives at the map edge, and ideally you put on a rail hex or a road rail hex or a road hex, and then you've got to draw from there because you have no transportation that's worth talking about. So first thing I wanted to do was secure this flank, so we're looking to try and capture Chaumont here, which will then allow us to threaten the German section of the map down here. There's a few stragglers trying to escape basically, and there's 2nd Panzer up over here, right there, and a couple of little SS police units floating around trying to slow things down. So that's what's going on there. I don't have enough supply to move 4th Armoured and conduct combat in the same turn, because as you'll see up here, I'm just pressing up with some elements of 7th Armoured to try and cross over and into Esch-sur-Alzette or Alzette here. There's this little town called Longwy here that we're going to try and capture this turn if we can. We've got a 7-to-1 attack going there at the moment, but the odds are going to change because we DG'd this guy here. So all of 20th Corps here is kind of just being held in abeyance. These dudes are in reserve, so that if I do break through here, I can try and do some minor exploiting. We've got to be very careful because we've got some very powerful units around us. 17th Panzer Grenadier, 3rd Panzer Grenadier, I already mentioned 2nd Panzer, and then back here the 9th Panzer is over there. So there's quite a lot of enemy units hacking around. Yeah, I'm in Texas, John, and feed, let me just check. I think I should be I'm on Wi-Fi here, so we should be good. Wi-Fi is showing me having not a great connection, so just hang fire for a sec. What we can do with the Wi-Fi. All right, that should be a little bit better. We'll see how that works for everybody. Okay, good. All right. So, as I was saying, 7th Armoured doing some stuff down there, but more importantly, down here near Sedan, here's the location, Sedan, and there's another village here. We're trying to, Charleville, Mézières, we're trying to crack this little section here. By clearing this, it'll give me a good transportation route back to supply sources, etc. And it also allows me to threaten both the Sedan and heading straight through into Luxembourg City at the same time. So there'll be those 4 attacks there. And then as we get further up the map, we'll talk about what's going on further up the map. Sorry for that. Got a little bit of a croaky voice tonight too. So was at a loud restaurant. We all had to shout to be heard. So we'll just have to deal with that. Yeah, I'm in Hurricane Alley, man. That's for sure. All right, so let's do this. We didn't allocate any air. We've gone through the reserve phase. There are no reserve actions to be conducted. We're not using the optional rules where you're allowed to use artillery in the reserve phase that's not under a reserve marker. So we're just going to have a straight up raw combat here with 10 factors attacking, 13 factors attacking into, I believe that is just going to be a minor town, is that what we're going to call that? A minor city. And we've got a little chart. Yeah, it's going to be a minor city. That's not going to affect our modifiers at all. So that'll be a straight up 13. And we believe there's 3 here. And we don't know what the other one down here is. And we know now that is 2. So that's 5. 13 to 5. It's going to be about 2.5 to 1. But unfortunately, these guys are in a hedgehog, a 1-rated hedgehog, so that's going to bump the AR rating of these attackers down by 1. So both sides have to spend supply to do this attack. So this is going to be a bloody attack unless I roll really well for surprise. As you can see here, these guys have a 4. These guys have a 3, but they're in a hedgehog, so that's going to basically make them a 4. You reduce this by 1, so it makes them both a 3. These guys have to spend 2T to defend, so we're going to do that. Now I could choose not to spend the 2T, and we could defend at half strength, but we won't do that, because I really want to try and keep this as the Germans if I can. And these guys have to spend 3T. They have 3T over here. We're going to drop that off. And that's their spend for the 3T. That's being thrown to them by this HQ here. All right. So I now that I'm fully engaged here, I've got 13 to 5, which I said was 2.5 to 1. It's going to round up to 3 to 1, and we are in a I think that's close terrain. A minor village is going to be very close terrain, that makes it even uglier. So that puts us at a 3 to 1, but we're now going to roll for surprise. So let's do that. 2 dice, no modifiers, and I rolled really badly. I rolled a 5. So a 5 means that 5 or less, the defender gains surprise, and that's going to shift the odds away from us. Fortunately, I rolled a 1, so it's only going to drop the odds down 1 level, back down to 2 to 1. Is that correct? Yes, down to 2 to 1. So I'm going to roll on. This is going to be hard for you to see here, but we're on this 2 to 1 table here. And there's the right-hand side of the map. Gives you a feel for just how far, right side of the chart, gives you a feel for how far to the wrong side of the chart we are. And now I roll an extraordinarily average 7. Normally we would add the AR differential, but there is none. And we get an AL101 DO1. And what does that mean? It means the attacker must lose a step. So they're going to lose a step. And you're supposed to take it off the AR unit that you declared. They're all the same. I'm going to take the weakest unit. So we'll just pop that guy off. He's dead. And I said 7, right? On the 3 to 1. And that means I've got an option now that I can retreat or stay in place and lose a step. I'm going to retreat 1 hex. Now that I have retreated, I'm no longer adjacent to these dudes. These guys have their option, which is a DO1. They can either lose a step or retreat, but because these guys retreated, they take the attacker always takes his option first. I believe that means that these guys no longer have to fulfill their optional result, their optional combat result. So there goes the first attack for Patton. Not going terribly swimmingly, one would say. Hey, springtime, what's going on, man? And we're just going to punch up here now to the kind of the middle of the map. And my stand is kind of misbehaving itself as well. If not for, I've got to make a note here. That was a 2-1, net 2-1 with an AL01, DO1. Okay. All right. So we're here now. Now the odds I had already pre-configured because there wasn't a stack here, so it's just 3 versus these guys gives it 7-1. But because these now are now 1.5, they're halved, right? We have to recalculate the odds, and you would say, well, why don't you just double it, Kevin? Well, it doesn't quite work that way. 5, because if there's halves that make a difference, we will have to do a little bit of quick math, which I don't have a calculator handy, but we should be okay. So 5 and 6 here is going to be 11. And then another 12 here is going to be 23 to 1.5. So 23 to 1.5. So yeah, we're going to be right up in the max odds column. I will roll, however, for surprise, just in case something magical happens and we don't get surprise and it causes shifts. So it's a 3 versus a 4. I'm going to nominate this guy to be the lead unit. I hope you can see that okay. It's kind of, looks like it's kind of far away. So let's just zoom in a little bit there. Maybe that's a bit better. Welcome everybody else who may have joined. We're going to pull these aircraft off now because they're done. I just left them on there so you can see where the air attacks went in. Pop that onto the inactive field. I'm going to roll for surprise. And I'm going to have to, well, you know what? That is going to be a bad roll, but fortunately not going to make much of a difference. That's going to push it to be another surprise against the attacker, but I only rolled a 1 again for the shift. So we're at max odds. We're just going to come off 1 column, but I am going to add 1 to my die roll because it's a, oh, actually, you know what? I roll a 5 there, right? Or a 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so it's not going to be a shift because 5 or less defend against surprise. So it's going to be max odds, and we're going to add 2 to the die roll because these guys have a 3 rating for their effectiveness rating, -1 because they're whatever they call it, disorganized. So here we go. We're just going to roll 2 dice. Even though I've got 3 in my hand, we're just going to roll the blue and the black are always the combat result. We roll an 8 plus 2 is 10. On max odds table, these guys are just going to die. Yeah, it's a DL2 with a bunch of ugliness, but I do get an exploit marker, an AE2, exploit 2. So these guys all get to go do exploity things. Oh, actually we don't because we're not both adjacent to each other. You have to be adjacent to each other to use that. And we've also got to spend our supply for that attack, so that guy dies. So let's just pop, I'll pull it from back here actually. I can't reach, so I'll pull this guy. He becomes a 3. Actually, he's going to become a 2, isn't he? A 2. A 2 and a half. There's a little bit of fiddling around here with supply, but I think it's worth it. So that's going to go there. And these guys have to spend 1, 2, 3 T as well, and that's why I had this dude here dropped off. And he will be 1 T left. And as I said, no exploit, so that's that guy. But we do get to advance after that combat. And I think what I'm going to do is advance this unit into here. The rest of the chaps are going to chill a little bit. I'm a little worried about any sort of potential flanking attacks or good fun things like that. Right. over here we have 2 attacks to be executed against. And we're going to work through those probably a little more quickly this time than we just did. We'll pull all the air units off. They won't be used. They're going to go into the inactive box. Or they were used, not that they won't be used, but they were used. Looks like someone else just joined. Good to see you. Hey there, buddy. How are you? My East Front Games pal. All right. Let's resolve this one first. It's first up. So we've got a river here. We're going to be halved here, coming across 2. And I've got 9 here, so we've got a total of 11 coming in. These guys are DG'd, so it's going to be 11 to 1. See that? They're halved. Oh, okay. I gotta make a note of this other attack too. So when he'll max odds. Max odds. D2. And this one's going to be another max odds attack. There's no question about it. We will, however, roll a +2 on the +2 on the attack, the surprise roll, because of the difference. I bumped the dice, but that's a 4. So 4 + 2 is 6. That means there's no surprise. That DG stays there. And now we're going to do a max odds attack with a +2 on the die roll. I roll 7 + 2 is 9. That is going to be another pasting for these dudes. Hang on just one sec. Super loud. Okay. All right. Just negotiating the volume of the clicking. Let's see here. So what did I say? 7 + 2 is 9. And that is going to be a DL2, and all the rest of it doesn't really matter. Actually, it does, because we'll have an AE3 coming in. So, I want that to happen. So, once again, these guys I will advance these guys across the river, and these guys here. And we'll put an AE3 on them and see what happens. I'm going to double check that I can actually do the AE3. I'll make a note of that here. Because of whether units have to be all in a stack or they can be adjacent. I don't recall. And since we're playing live, we won't interrupt play too much to do that. We'll make a note of that next attack. Same again. Max odds. D2. AE3. Okay. Let's see. Next attack here. We're kind of cranking along. Oh, we didn't pay. We've got to pay 2T. I probably should do that there. It's going to make that 1 and change. Sometimes you get lost and forget to do that. So 3T from there. I was pulling supply from where? I had it here somewhere. What did I do with it? Where's my supply? Oh, that's right. I'm throwing from here, from over here. So that's going to be 3. It's going to leave me with 1 there. I don't think I'm going to have enough supply to do this other attack, actually. I may have screwed up in my calculations. Here's where the supply is being thrown from, all the way over here, where that white block is. Let's see. Oh, I think we're going to be okay. There's a truck here that's got supply on it. So if I zoom out a little bit, you'll be able to see this. I'm going to turn the air conditioner back on. It's warm in here, isn't it? Okay. Okay, so that was the supply for that. Paid 3T. out of that stack over there. Now, the throw range is fine because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And adjacent is close enough. So now the only thing we're going to need to do is this guy, and this is where I'm potentially going to have a problem because I'm going to be out of range for the supply hit. So I may have to use internal stocks and go low ammo, which is expensive, and it's making me second guess this attack. You know what I think I'll do, because it's halved, I'll use less units to attack. That's going to be 1.5 here, so it'll round up to basically to a 2, and these guys will be 6. Or if I used one of these, it'd be 10 versus 2, or 6 versus 2. Or do I want to add something else in here? You know, I'm going to get the surprise shift. Let's use this guy. He's in rough terrain or hilly terrain. Do I get a bonus with my mechanized for that? Nope. But no negative, no penalties. So this will be 10 to 1.5. And we're going to have an AR adjustment of 2 for that, and we're going to have to roll on the surprise table. So let's roll on surprise table. Move the die roller somewhere here where I can reach it and find the dice on the board somewhere. +2. Really rolling very low tonight. That's a 6 + 2 is 8. That's not going to be enough to garner any surprise. Let's see. Let's see here. 1 second, guys. I'm just going to check. I think that should be right. Okay, so I said 10 to 1.5. It's going to put us on the 5 to 1 table in close terrain, I believe that's going to be. Yep, close terrain. 5 to 1 on the close terrain. It's going to drop down to 4 to 1 because there's only a 4 and a 6 to 1 option on the charts. Can you see this orange, this first orange column go across to 4 and then 6 to 1? That's where we're going to be. We're going to roll 2 dice. I'm going to add 2 to it because this guy's DG'd and he is low. So he's already a 3, I'm a 4, and now so that's going to drop it down by 1 because of the DG. So that will make him a 2. So we're going to add 2 to that die roll. That's a 9 on a 5 to 1, on a 4 to 1, sorry, in close terrain. 9 on close terrain. DL01, A01. Okay, I've got to execute my option first. I'm going to retreat because I don't want to take the loss. And the DL1, he's going to die. And this is where I still, even to this day, get a little confused about the loss-taking metrics and the manner in which we treat losses. But the fundamental rule is that attacker resolves his option first, and I have to take my option. But do I have to take it if the guy dies? I believe you do. I'm going to check that. I'm going to check myself before I wreck myself. Where are the rules? This must be them. So let's just check that real quick, unless we've got some OCS players in the house. Okay, here we go. Doesn't look like we do have any OCS players, so we'll just work it out here real quick. Exploit results. Well, while we're here, let's look at these exploit results. Attacking units from DG. 2 unit stacks are not mutually adjacent. Okay, so we did do that right before. Step losses. Attack retreats, defender results become a DL1. Yep, okay, so that, we did that right. I've got that little sore throat here. A little water. All right, so that's good. So we had to retreat, they had to die, and that is all correct. So we're doing good. We haven't made any major errors yet, just minor errors. Okay, and I think when you retreat, you don't get your exploit result. So that stays as is, which means if the Germans wanted to, they could try and fill that breach. So let's jump, I think we're going to now just roll up to here, and we're going to continue on with our attacks up to the northern section of the maps. And if I can scoot this in a little bit, we'll take a look at this line here. Now it's quite a complex little, take these off, little situation in here. In the northern section, you know, this is kind of the border for the Americans, where the Americans are hanging out and fighting adjacent to the British Army and Commonwealth Army. And we've got a bevy of 1st Panzer, 12th Panzer units hanging out in here. We've got 116th Panzer kind of mulling around in the background. So regardless, though, we need to take Namur here and try and clear these hexes so that we can push towards Liege and then on to the Rhine, and also try and force this pocket this way towards the Elbe Canal, which is just in the distance there, you can see. So you saw any of the other videos that I posted 2 or 3 on this kind of the plan and the strategy a little bit. So we're trying to live or die by that. Now, hang on a second. One thing I didn't do was pay for the attack down at the other end. So I'm going to do that while you here. He pays just 1 T, so he goes into the bucket. I'm not sure I can make that 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9. That's not gonna work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's adjacent, close enough. Okay, so that works. Did do that right. Okay, so here this guy's DG'd and he's 1.5, right? So he's going to basically round up to 2. I've got supply back here that behind him that he can use. I've got a swaggy big stack of units here. I've got 25 to 2. It's going to be an overkill, right? So probably don't want to use all those guys. And I think to 2, I'll just take the 7. I'll just attack with 1 unit, and we'll just do a 7 to 1 attack. And he's going to be in the open, so he'll probably be doubled, if not, he'll be doubled anyway. So let's see, because he's in the open and then mech. So they're double. So that's going to be 28 to 2. So it's going to be max odds. We'll roll for surprise. He has an AR rating of 2. I need the die roller. Let me just check that one thing here real quick. What's it called? Yeah, so let's get 14 divided by 2.5 is going to be 5.5. So it's going to roll up to 6 to 1 on this attack here. 6 to 1. And I need the surprise dice. So we got these 2 guys. Another shitty roll. And it's actually going to be no surprise. So it's 5. I said 2.5. That's 5. 6 to 1 here in the open. Actually, no, it's 12 to 1 in the open, sorry, because it's 2.5. Is that what I said? 2.5 to 4 to 28. 28 divided by 2.5. Oh, it's only 11 to 1. What am I doing? 11 to 1 is just shy of max odds. That was lucky. I'm glad I caught that. And I rolled a 4 plus 2 is 6. That's still going to be a DL 102 with an exploit. So we'll move that out. He dies. I'll pay supply. I need an exploit marker. What did I say? A 4. I can't find a 4 real handy, so here we go. Here's one buried down in here. Nope, that's a 3. Okay. Shit. Come on, buddy. I'll just put these 2 here, and that will remind me that it's a 4. I've got two counters there. All right. So that's interesting. That attack. So that meant that attack earlier on. Did I do that correctly? 10 divided by 2.5. Should have been a 4 to 1 attack. Okay, it was on the 4 to 1 table anyway, so that's fine. All right, so we're good. So that's supply. These guys have to either pop supply, or we change the result, so I'm going to have to do this. That means those guys will be screwed if I do that. I should have looked at that before we roll for that result. It's not going to matter. I'm going to say that this was a combat that was unsupplied, and the odds would have been better. We would have got roughly the same, and we've got the best result we can get in any case, which is an exploit 4. So we'll leave that as is, but these chaps will certainly spend their money, their supply. So I'll drop this supply counter down here to this 2, and then put 1. Actually, I'm going to put 3 back there, aren't I? Put 3 in because we only use 1 unit in the attack. So we're very frugal and efficient, and I'm actually going to pop that bad boy into that hex and occupy it. Right. Oh, you're getting rain just now, Dubs. That's cool. We're expecting to get a little bit of rain tonight as well. I didn't know that San Antonio was going to get super heavy rain. Yeah, Christopher, good point there with how stingy you can be. Exactly. I try and build these attacks based on the fact that I think I'm going to need a lot of support and services and all the rest of it, and then you kind of whittle it back because you don't have to declare and commit necessarily. You can adjust when I can imagine over the course of 2 or 3 days as this attack's going in, as they see the defense is weak, they continue to push and drive and kill off the enemy, but they don't fritter away forces needlessly or supply. Okay, 2 last attacks, 3 attacks, possibly more if I don't get the hiccups. I'm going to take these air units off here. They did their job. Now, they didn't do their job. This is the English air really sucked. So those Spitfires and Typhoons and whatnot let the side down. So this is 3 units lost for the Germans already, and 1 step lost for the Americans. I have not been keeping notes, so that's going to suck. I need to do this. So you'll have to pardon me for just a second. This is a little bit slower than we usually do things here, but first turn you've always got to be a little extra careful and pay a little more attention to the details ish as best as I can. Okay, here, so we're going in straight on a very close or extremely close terrain on a 13-6. It's going to be a 2-1, straight up, basically 2-1, and no benefits really for either side. It's going to be a raw surprise roll, so the Brits could really use a break here with a nice surprise roll, and we'll hope that they don't get it. They don't get it, they get an 8, so that means there's no surprise. This is going to be horrible, but we got to take Amsterdam, or Antwerp, sorry. We've got to make this happen. So 13-6, it's going to be a 2-1 and extremely close. So now we need the big roll. Now we need a 12, baby. Roll the 3. All right, you want to see a grown man cry? Here it is. Extremely close, 2-1, and I roll a 3. Yep, that's really bad. That's a 2-step losses. Jesus. Wiped. God damn it. Okay, I'll take a step loss here. I'll put that up to 3. This is horrible. God damn you, Monty. So he's now taking 3 step losses. That's 1. I'm gonna have to just take one of these guys, I guess. Well, you know what? This dude could take a step loss. There are these new units that they're using. See the little yellow box behind the X, behind the brigade marker? That means that it's a mechanized unit that has multiple steps. It has 2 steps to it. So we'll take 1 step loss there. And that's just a beatdown. I had 3 units in that attack. Sorry, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. That's 5T. Oh, hang on. I've got to be able to supply this guy. 5T. Can I supply this guy? 5T. I don't think I can. Where's my throw gonna come from? Before we go getting too excited. I mean, it's not going to matter. The results are bad. The odds are so bad. But that might bump it up to a 4-1. I don't have any supply. What are these guys supposed to fight with? Shit. Can I reach this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. Well, hot diggity dog. 1. They can't. These guys don't have supply. Now, is there something about nominal HQs and supply in the series rules? I know it's only in Germany. I think that's only in Germany. You know what? These guys have to be halved. That doesn't seem right. You know what? I'm going to table this attack. Let's just table it. I need to check that. I'm going to make a note here with my little trusty pen. I rolled a 3. Alright. That's my die roll there. Which means I'm going to have to table this attack here as well until I work out what the supply situation is going to be. I need to double check the rules there. I don't think it's worth doing that attack. Now, but down here we can execute the last, there's 2 more down here that I forgot to mention. Try and zoom out a little bit so you can see the rest of them. Scooch back a bit. Alright. This is another low odds opportunity here. I'm not super enamored about this, but I need to have a crack at it. It's going to be in very close terrain with a defensive 8, you know, I'm probably not going to do that attack either. I am not going to do that attack. I know that they are flown. Those units are flown. These guys are out. I'm not going to do it. They're chicken shitting out. We'll try and isolate these dudes and make them surrender. That's just as effective. It just takes longer. This attack here, on the other hand, though, I will execute that. Now I can supply this guy from here quite easily. I'm not going to, though. There's no point, because it's going to be 22 to 1. It's going to be max odds anyway, so I'll be just throwing good money after bad, basically. So he is going to go no supply, which will make him a 1. And these guys are going to go in. We can't break this up. If I had been smart, I would have broken that down and only used a couple of steps. However, we're in for penny in for pound, but I probably don't have enough supply to do that. So that makes that interesting, doesn't it? So that attack actually probably can't happen either. So that's just freaking awesome. All right, so I don't have any more attacks to do. I need to think about allowing myself to make an adjustment there. I think it makes sense. We shouldn't have been attacking with 24 factors versus 2 or 1 for that matter. It should have been maybe 10 factors. So let me see if I can find a couple of breakdowns for those guys. We'll pop it down to 2 steps versus I need a step marker. All right, sorry about all the background noise with air conditioning. So that becomes a 2 there. And I'm just gonna use these 2 units real quick. And I'll leave this other infantry unit just adjacent, something like that. We'll move him there, and we'll attack here with these 2 chappies across the river. He's going to be halved, right? So it's going to be, what is it, just 1? I think it's just 1. So minor river. No, it's halved. So that's going to be a 5 to 1 attack there. We're going to roll for surprise. Okay, I rolled an 11 for surprise, so they're going to get the surprise, and it's 2 shifts. So I said 5 to 1. Let's have a look at the very close table at 5 to 1 in a open. 5 to 1 in the open up. Did I say 2? Missed the chart. Yep, 2. No, so it makes it a 9 to 1. Now we'll roll the dice plus a bunch. And I rolled an 11 anyway. It's going to be plus 3, so 11, 9 to 1, 11 plus 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be DL2. So, and with an exploit, an AE2 exploit, we don't really care about that so much down here. These guys will pop across the river and one will stay there. Actually, they might get a little threatened there. We might do this. I'm not going to worry about the exploit marker because we're not going to exploit. There's nowhere to go effectively. Okay, so that's all the combat except for that one little hiccup over here, which is a bit of a mess. See, there's a bunch of comments, so let's check in on those. So bear with me. Well, I'll have a quick look. Yeah, Kyle. What is it? Quantity has a quality all of its own. Just not with videos and blogs, man. So you're doing good stuff too, Doc. Hey, lots of folks have joined in. Good to see you guys. We've got a little gang here. No, Norm, come on. I'm not going to cheat myself that badly. I see your comment here. So Strats is right. So let's do a couple of things here. I'm going to answer some of these questions. One question for Kevin here. And and we'll kind of go for it here. If you go back to the other videos, as the guys were saying, this is the Market Garden track here, basically somewhere. Here's Nijmegen there. Here's Eindhoven. Nijmegen's just out of screen right here. And net of it is next turn would be Market Garden, and this is where we're currently at. I don't see how you get across that Elbe Canal in the time frame that we have here. The Scheldt, Canadians come on turn 3, so that will give them an opportunity to start beginning to working on the Scheldt, assuming I can clear Antwerp, which we just did a horrible job at. And all that really came down to the fact that we had this horrible die roll for the air. But I have to check to see supply. Now, I guess they could go low ammo on the supply, right? That's what we would do there. Yeah, that's what we would do there. So let's do that. Let's go low ammo for all these guys, and that puts a little bit of pressure on them. So it's kind of a war of attrition here now. So the Brits still take their 2-step loss, and that's okay, buddy. Hey, thank you for being so quiet. You're awesome, dude. I love you. And now we can focus in. He's been playing Xbox and trying not to make too much noise. That's what all the clicking noise was. Little shit. So 5, 10, 15, 18 coming across the river is going to be 9 versus. Oh, I said 6. It's going to be 9 versus 2 here. They'll also be unsupplied, which means they would need to go low ammo if they want to do this. So there's that. I think perhaps what I was going to do here is not spend all the units because I don't have the supply. 1, 2, 3, 4. But I think we will need them. 10, 15, 18. Yeah, that's 9 coming across the river. The canal, whatever, it's all the same. I need 4 from there, so we'll have to break up this supply from Brussels here. And we'll talk about the British. There's reinforcements that come in the next couple of turns for the British, but yeah, there's not a lot of units here, and some of these units are already, they start reduced. You can see this guy's reduced here. What was I doing? I'm breaking this down for 4. That means it's just going to become a 1, so let's get rid of that and put a 1 back. And that goes underneath the dinky little Euro piece. Let's switch all these guys around the straight way now. And so 9 to 2. 9 to 2 is going to be 4.5 to 1, right? Is that right? Yep, 4.5 to 1. That'll round up to 5 to 1, but it's across the river into very close. Across the river into very close. 9 to 1. No, not 9 to 1. I said 4 to 1. 4.5 to 1 rounds up to 5. There is no 5, so it's going to be on the 4 to 1 table, but we're going to roll for surprise first. So here we go, surprise. This is where we need a good, oh golly, a 4, no surprise. So we'll just roll 2 dice for the results, and it's going to be a +1 on the die roll. I roll the 3 + 1, 7, so entirely average die roll. Ouch. AL1, DO1. AL1, DO1. Attacker loses 1 step. And I'll take the top guy, and they will have the same rating. I should have declared it, but I didn't, so we'll work on that. So that dude is dead. He goes into the dead pile. And these guys have to elect to either stay or go, die or go. They will retreat 1, go low ammo. They'll actually retreat. Yeah, they'll retreat to there. The rest of the fellas say tally ho, and they're across the river. We're going to leave one behind for good measure. Keep the line of supply open. There we go. Okay, wow. All right, I think that's how that works, so we don't need that marker anymore. That was just bullshit there, stupid dice. So do you all follow that? All feel good? I feel good. Love to see the British screw shit up. They've been doing it for centuries. All right. Yeah, Norm, I'm not worried too much about the whole market garden exercise. I'll be focused on the Scheldt and capturing the major ports so that we get the supply bump, which is, as I am seeing here, critically needed. And this is going to be a beatdown without a lot of supply. We're going to have to, stagger the attacks over time, which is going to allow the Germans time to build hedgehogs and whatnot in different locations. Okay, so that all went very slowly, and I wouldn't normally expect this to take that long, but because I'm running commentary as we go through it, it took a lot longer. So that's 52 minutes so far. And normally you would expect, I mean, this is a 10-minute exercise to crank through these combats. If I'm concentrating by myself, I can just get through it and not make mistakes too much. Anyway, all right, I'm losing my voice. Time to roll. I appreciate you guys checking in. Thanks, and we'll hang out. All right, I appreciate it. Talk to you soon. Cheers.